All right, let's dive into one of the biggest debates in modern business strategy. Seriously, it's a clash of the titans, pitting a legendary investor against a revolutionary innovator. We're talking Warren Buffett versus Elon Musk. So on one side, you've got Warren Buffett, the sage of investing, who preaches the power of defense. For him, a great business is like an impenetrable fortress, an economic castle with a deep, wide moat that keeps all the competitors out for decades. And then on the other side, you have Elon Musk, who famously called Moats lame. Yeah, lame. He argues that in today's world, the only real protection is relentless offense, just moving so darn fast that no one can possibly catch you. So this sets up our central question, right? In a world that is just changing at lightning speed, should you be building these massive, impenetrable walls, or should you be building faster and faster rockets? Let's get into it. Okay, let's get things off with the classic wisdom, Buffett's time-tested philosophy of the economic moat. It's such a powerful metaphor, and honestly, it's guided investors for generations. So what is an economic moat, really? Well, it's a structural advantage. It's something that's baked right into the DNA of a business that makes it incredibly difficult for rivals to come in and attack its profits and its market share. And Buffett believes these are the kinds of defenses that are basically unbreachable. Think about the incredible brand power of Coca-Cola, or exclusive drug patents that pharmaceutical companies have, or the massive scale of Amazon, or even the way Apple's ecosystem kind of locks you in. It's just a pain to switch, right? These are the kinds of moats that let a company just churn out profits year after year. But here comes Musk. He argues that in today's world, that same fortress, it can turn into a prison, and fast. He uses a totally different way of thinking. It's not based on what's come before. It's based on physics. He calls it first principles. Now, this is so important to get. This isn't about making small tweaks to what already exists. No, it's about tearing everything down to the studs and starting completely from scratch. It's all about asking, what are the absolute rock-bottom truths of this situation, and then building a new solution from there. To really wrap your head around this, let's try a little thought experiment. It was made famous by the military strategist John Boyd. So you've got these three objects. How in the world do you create something totally new? Well, first, you completely ignore their current form. You just deconstruct them. A motorboat isn't a boat anymore. It's a collection of parts, a motor, a hull, some skis. A tank? Forget that it's a tank. It's just metal treads and armor. A bike becomes handlebars, wheels, and a seat. And this is where the magic happens. You can reassemble those core truths into something completely innovative. You take the handlebars and the seat from the bike, the treads from the tank, and the motor and skis from the boat, and bam! You've just created a snowmobile. See? You've reasoned from first principles. This exact way of thinking is what leads directly to Musk's whole argument against Buffett's moats. It's why he believes the only true defense is the pace of your innovation. You see, most people, and most companies, reason by analogy. We look at what already exists and we try to make it just a little bit better. We improve the form. But reasoning from first principles ignores the form and completely rethinks the function. It doesn't just build a better horse-drawn carriage, it invents the car. And look, this is not just theory. Here's how Musk actually applied this in the real world. When he wanted to send a rocket to Mars, he found out they cost a fortune, up to $65 million. But when he broke a rocket down to its first principles, its raw materials like aluminum, titanium, copper, he found that all that stuff only cost about 2% of the final price. Just 2%. That one single insight was the genesis of SpaceX. He realized there was no fundamental law of physics making rockets that expensive. It was just a long history of doing things a certain way. By rethinking the entire problem from the ground up, he didn't just compete, he completely disrupted an entire industry. So, okay, we have Buffett's impenetrable fortress on one side, and we have Musk's unstoppable innovation on the other. It feels like a total contradiction, doesn't it? But what if it's not? What if, especially in the digital age, they are actually two sides of the very same coin? Well, there's a modern framework that shows how today's companies can actually build defensibility through innovation, using something called a value stack. It's based on two simple variables: how often you use a service and how important that service is to you. For example, you might use Amazon Prime Video all the time, but it's not life or death important. That builds scale. You might check Zillow less often, but it becomes a habit. And you might only use Airbnb once a year, but booking a vacation is super important. That builds brand. This all leads to a powerful new insight. Offense creates defense. In the digital world, innovation isn't the enemy of the moat. It's the very tool you use to dig new, more powerful moats. And products with these different characteristics, well, they build these layers of defensibility over time. And here's where it gets really crazy. These value layers get supercharged when you involve your users directly, creating these powerful network effects. When users invite new users, you get viral networks. When users improve the service for each other, like on Waze with traffic data, you get exchange networks. And when they build real emotional connections, you get connected networks. The moat gets wider and deeper with every single new user. And this brings us to the incredibly high stakes of innovation today, a point which Buffett himself highlighted with this, frankly, chilling comparison of AI to the atom bomb. He recognizes that some innovations, once they're created, they change the world so fundamentally you can't stuff that genie back in the bottle. So what's the crucial takeaway here? Maybe the debate was never really about moats or innovation. Perhaps the ultimate competitive advantage today is building a company that uses relentless first principles innovation to constantly redefine its own defenses. You know, in an age of AI, maybe the only moat that matters isn't the wall, but the speed at which you can build the next better castle.